Hello and welcome to Pokemon Lair. My name is CD and today we'll be unboxing a box of 10 Pokemon cards I received from PSA or Professional Sports Authority, and they arrive in a nice box, packaged well, so they're nice, safe and sound. Let's get them out of here and let's see what grades I got. Alright, let's go. We're looking at a 1999 Pokemon game-based Fighting Energy, the number 97 card. This Fighting Energy looks really clean. I don't think I ever played with it. I think it went straight into a sleeve. The edges and the corners look good, and I think our centering is not too bad. As we flip this card over and look at the back surface, it looks nice and clean. The graphics have no damage. Our centering, I think, is really not too bad. Looking at our corners and our edges, though, we have slight damage on our corners, but we do have some noticeable damage on the upper edge and the lower edge. And that's going to give us a grade of excellent, mint 6. Not too bad. A lot of these cards I didn't get brand new. Let's take a look at a 1999 Pokemon game-based Grass Energy, the number 99 card. Looking at the front surface of this Grass Energy, I really never noticed the graphics when I first bought them, but I sort of like the shadow in the background of these energies. The surface looks good, our centering looks good, and I don't see any issues with the edges. As we take a look at the back of this card, our graphics and surface look nice and clean. Our centering is really awesome. Take a look at our edges and our corners. I think they're really good. The only thing I can see is there's some slight damage and maybe a flattening of the upper right corner. And that's going to give us a grade of mint 9. That's pretty darn good for an old energy. Let's look at a 1999 Pokemon game-based Lightning Energy, the number 100 card. Look at the front surface of this card and it looks really clean. There's no damage to it. The centering, I think, is really not too bad. As we get to our corners and our edges, though, there is a slight bend on the edge of the upper left corner. As we look at the back of this card, it looks pretty good. The surface does. Our centering, I think, is not too bad. As we get to our edges and our corners, we have a couple of our corners that have some slight damage. With that upper right corner and top edge, there is a bend that you can actually noticeably see, a wavy type bend that's going to affect our grade. And that's going to be a grade of excellent 5. I thought it was going to be pretty low with that bend. Let's do an examination of a 1999 Pokemon game based Water Energy, the 102 card. Looking at the front surface and graphics of this card, I really like the cleanliness of it. Our centering, I think, is not too bad. And our corners and our edges, I don't see anything that can affect the grading. Now, looking at the back, there's no noticeable problems with the surface or the graphics of the card. Our centering and our centering looks really good. Our edges and our corners, though, we have some slight damage on the corners and noticeable damage on the top and right edges. And that's going to give us a grade of excellent 5. Not too shabby. I'm looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Butterfree, a number 33 card. Looking at the Butterfree surface, I don't see any issues with it. Our edges and our corners look really good, and our centering, I think, might be pretty good. As we go to the back side of this card, it looks pretty good for the surface. Our centering, I think, is not too shabby, but looking at our corners and our edges, I can see some damage to the right corners in the lower left corner. And that's going to give us a grade of near mint 7. There was quite a little bit more damage on those edges and corners than I thought. Let us take a look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Executor, the number 35 card. Looking at the front of this card, it looks really nice. The graphics and surface, I don't see any issues. Our centering is good. Looking at our corners and our edges, unfortunately, looking really close at the upper right top edge, there's a slight flattening of the card. It's almost a bend. As we look at the back side of this card, you can see that it looks really nice and clean. Our centering is great. Our corners and our edges are pretty good. There's some, I have to look really hard to see any damage, slight damage on a couple of the corners, but it's very slight. And we're going to get a grade of near mint 8. I like it. The card you're looking at is a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Gloom, the number 37 card. Looking at the Gloom here, the front surface and graphics and centering I think is really good. Looking at our edges and our corners, I don't see any issues or problems. I turn the card over and look at the back. The graphics and surface look good. Our centering I think is okay. Looking at our corners and our edges, there's some slight damage to 3 of the corners. And that'll let us get a grade of near mint 8. I'll take it. As we look at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Lickitung, the number 38 card, our front graphics and surface show no damage, no dirt. Our centering looks pretty good. Our edges and our corners I think are really nice also. Looking at the back surface, I think it's really nice. Our centering looks good. I think it's within spec. Going to our edges and our corners, I can see that multiple of the corners have some damage, and that will affect our grade. And for old Lickitung, we're going to get a grade of near mint 7. Lickitung didn't do too bad. Let's inspect a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Marowak, a number 39 card. This card looks really nice. I don't see any dirt, specks, or damage to the front. The centering looks great. Our edges and our corners are awesome. As I flip the card over and look at the back for the surface and the graphics, I see no issues there. Our centering looks really good. In fact, this whole back of the card looks really good until you start looking closely at the corners and the edges, and you can see that there on the upper left corner there's some slight damage, and on the upper right edge there's some slight damage. And we're going to get a grade of near mint 8 for old Marowak. I'll take any grade above a 7. You're looking at a 1999 Pokemon Jungle Nidorina, the number 40 card. The front surface and graphics of this card I have no issues with. This centering looks really good. Our edges and our corners I think are within a good grade. As we examine the back of the card, it looks just as good as the front. I don't see any issues with the surface or the graphics. Our centering is way within specs, and looking at our corners and our edges, on first notice you think that there looks really good, but it looks like we have both upper corners and a little edge damage up there. And that's going to give us a grade of near mint 8. What? Wow, I thought that should have been at least a 9. Well, I hope you liked this video, and I hope you learned a little thing or two about grading your Pokemon cards. And remember, just subscribe and like, and don't forget, you got to catch them all.